.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Laura Rutledge joins us from ESPN. Laura, thanks for a few minutes this afternoon. Fresh off a trip to Augusta, Georgia for the Masters. Congratulations, first of all. What a cool assignment. How did that happen?
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you. It was, like, truly, I still can't even believe I got to do it. I'm like, wait, I was there? That's crazy. It's always been a bucket list thing for me, and it's actually pretty cool. I'll peel back the curtain a little bit for you guys. The people who are in charge of our Masters coverage are some of the best at ESPN, and I had posted I think I did like a Q&A on Instagram, and I posted that the Masters was a bucket list thing for me to cover, and somebody saw it and they said, oh, cool, let's add her to the coverage, which I got to tell you, and Richard, you know this well, nothing in my career has been that easy, like at all, anywhere close to that easy, and I've joked so many times since, like, golly, if I had known all I had to do was put it on Instagram, I would have put a lot more things on Instagram sooner. No, I'm kidding. It was definitely just such a great honor to be asked to do it, and a lot of hard work went into being positioned to get that chance, but something that I am so incredibly thankful for.
All right, so I'm making notes. I need to do a Q&A on Instagram and say that a college football playoff game is on my bucket list, and then I'll just sit by the phone and wait for that phone call. So
love it.
How big of a golf person are you, Laura?
Yeah, so I've always loved it, and it's a game that I think it's been really special to me. Just my dad played, my brother plays, and not that they're that great. No offense, Dad and Dave, but it's I always have enjoyed just going around and watching them, and I love golf courses. I love just being around it. It's a game that I've loved, and then certainly watching it on TV. I am not a good golfer. I am going to, I need a lot of lessons to be good, and I think that's another reason why I have such an appreciation for the game, is just how difficult it is, even for the best in the world. And then I think, growing up watching Tiger, there's so many of us that can relate to that. And his dominance, but then also just becoming really interested in some of the storylines over these past few years. It was kind of the one sport, and Richard, you could probably relate to this, kind of the one sport that because I didn't cover it, I just enjoyed it, as a fan, and I just was like everybody else and was watching, and we would always have it on, and I wondered how I would feel about it actually, spending time on studying and prepping, and, hours and hours go into that. And what I found is just loving it so much, it didn't feel like work at all in the preparation for this. And, not that any of this really feels like work. My God, we're so incredibly lucky to be talking about sports for a living, but there is a lot of extra prep that goes in, and, doing that with the NFL job that I do every day and college football and all that. It would have been an added workload, but like I said, it never felt like that, and I do think that speaks to how much I love the game.
Was it intimidating at all for you? You've done so many different things in your career, from hosting to reporting, SportsCenter stuff, NFL Live, sidelines, all the different things, and so to tackle something of this magnitude, because the Masters is absolutely at the top of the heap in terms of golf. For your first time covering professional golf, was it intimidating at all?
Yes! Oh, my goodness. It's funny. I told my husband, taking this past NFL season, ESPN got the chance to broadcast a divisional round game for the first time in ESPN history, and I was fortunate enough to be on the sideline for that game, and the pressure on that game, knowing that it was a first for a company that has obviously broadcasted the highest of highs when it comes to all different types of sports, and to know that, some 20 million something people are watching, you're in the heat of the craziness down there on the sideline, as you well know, Richard, it's chaotic down there. You got to focus. There's no teleprompter. There's nothing like that. It's off the cuff. That felt very much in my comfort zone. This was far more intimidating, than that. And I said to my husband, Josh, like, I was like having to constantly battle the feelings of, okay, you don't belong and you are going to be like bad at this and people are going to say, get her out of here. You know, I felt like I was battling that the entire time. And yet, while also trying to soak it in and be thankful for it. And I probably didn't do enough of the soaking it in because I was so worried about screwing it up, you know. but I think what I found to be so cool is just how welcoming everyone at Augusta National was. You know, I thought about the Masters for so many years. I mean, I grew up watching it, and it was always something that, even as a family, as so many people can relate to, we would always prioritize. It would be like an entire event that weekend that we would do. I mean, you know, like making pimento cheese sandwiches and all the things that you do, right, in line with the Masters. And so to think about it the way that I have and the respect I have for it for all these years, and it being just the top of the top when it comes to the game of golf, I really expected it to maybe be not as welcoming as it was, and yet it really was. People were so kind, and I'm really thankful for that because they didn't have to be that way, right? I would have expected and understood if they were kind of like, oh, who's this newbie? But it was the opposite, and so really just so many things have meant so much to me in this career, but this was one, a bucket list and just a special weekend that I'll never forget.
So, Laura, had you been to the tournament before? Had you been as a patron? Or was this your first time stepping on the property at Augusta?
That was my first time. That was my first time there. And I got to tell you a quick story because this is just so cool to me. So if I ever write a book, probably nobody would read it or buy it, but this would be in the book. So you're getting a preview.
Okay.
So the very first day that I got there, I got there really late Sunday night. And so Monday, my whole goal was just to walk the course as many times as I could, which is hard there, right? It's so hilly. You don't even realize that when you watch it on TV, and it just makes it that much more impressive what these golfers are able to do. But anyway, I went out there, and really where I kind of ended up or where I started was right where anybody could go and practice putting, you know, that area of Augusta National. So we get there, and I'm not even kidding you. I walk up to just where the other patrons were. I couldn't really see who was actually there putting. And lo and behold, it's Tiger Woods practicing putting on Monday of Masters Week. And Will Zalatoris is, like, right close by. He was, of course, with Tiger during some of those practice rounds. And, I couldn't even breathe. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. And I was with one of our producers, and he looked at me and he said, welcome to the Masters. And I'm like, okay, chill bumps all over my body. I can't believe I'm here. And just to have that happen, it just didn't even feel real.
And from that area where you're talking about where the putting green is, kind of behind the clubhouse where number one tee box is off to your right, you've got 9 green, you've got 10 green, and then 18, they're kind of all that. You can see forever. Like you just look off into the distance and you can see almost the entire golf course.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm not just saying this because you brought that up. I mean, other than Amen Corner, which is really special and you get a great view there, certainly, that's, I think, right there, you know, even kind of back further where that putting green area is, you really can see everything. That's probably my favorite part of the entire course. And I walked that thing a few times. It was a privilege to walk.
Got your steps in, right?
Really, yeah, exactly. You also, though, I think what's really cool about that area is you also get to see the patrons milling about, and you kind of see the personality of the place, especially during Masters Week. I'm sure it's very different when there's not as many people around, but you can see so much, and you see so many different parts of the course just in that one small area. Really, really cool. And then, of course, you look kind of over where those different holes are that you mentioned, and you can see the Georgia pines. You can see just some of the scenery in the distance, which I found to be breathtaking, too. I mean, just all of it. I've had so many people ask, you know, is it really as pretty as it looks on TV? It is. It's prettier. Like, somehow it's even more perfect in real life, which is crazy because it already looks perfect on TV. And that area of the course, to your point, I think really illustrates that.
Laura Rutledge, fresh off of NFL Live, getting ready for the draft, going home to be a mom. We've got right at a minute left. I got to know what else is on that bucket list. So you've gotten to check off Augusta. You hope that you get invited back, and this becomes a recurring thing. What else is on the list?
Fingers crossed. Well, it's so funny because I'm like, that was kind of the thing that was on the list, so I got to
make a new list.
Reassess. I didn't think I was ever going to fill that bucket, right? I didn't even think I'd ever get to go, much less be a very small part of the coverage. So, I would say to answer that, though, it would probably be something to do with covering the Super Bowl, which ESPN and ABC have the Super Bowl in a few years. I'm hoping that if I'm lucky enough to still have a job at ESPN, I hope I could be part of that Super Bowl coverage. I think that's something that, you just can't even imagine as somebody who, has wanted to do this for all these years. And sometimes I'm just like, I feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience that I even get to do any of this,